while I'm sitting here existing, thinking about a lot of stuff. You know, it's one of those times of introspection and reflection and whatever, for, you know, better or worse, probably worse, but yeah, just the totally oppressive prison reality with no way out. Really just don't, you know, even fucking know what to say anymore. You know, the living on this planet with these human apes running wild. I don't know, you would never think it were that evil until you've like really experienced it. And just what it's like to be like truly on your own, right? Like, not just nobody's gonna fucking protect you, but I mean, no one, like, I just, like, no one will fucking admit what reality is. They all have a fucking, you know, narrative, an agenda, whatever. And, you know, of course, they're all going to be acting like, you know, oh, it's that group over there, right? Like, they all point at each other. But in reality, it's like, no, they're all guilty. And, you know, sometimes you just wish there was somewhere to go in this motherfucking piece of shit world, but of course there isn't. And it's like anywhere you try to go, there's just statists everywhere. And I don't know, the social terrorism, yeah, it really fucking weighs down on me sometimes. Because it's like, dude, my life could have been literally anything else. And the only difference as far as the outcomes is like just everyone around me just choosing to act differently, even if I did the same shit, right? And just, you know, all these just totally debauched fucking humans and the atrocities they do, and it's like motherfuckers will like them. You know, what they do counts differently. Motherfuckers will help them. But then you get treated so horrifically, and it's like motherfuckers will like be mad if you're, you know, even, you know, mad about it, much less even express a desire to do anything about it. You know, justice is a big no-no to humans. You know, just the totally inexcusable villainy that they'll just give a free pass to. And, you know, they all just will, you know, it doesn't really matter if whatever you did to somebody was like not that serious, or, you know, not that big a deal, or like whatever the fuck they're going to say. It has nothing to do with that. It's the accumulation of the individual actions of each of you compounding on a motherfucker. And the problem is you don't think about how your behavior adds to the experiences motherfuckers have already had. You don't even stop to, like I said, humans are psychopaths, and the way that they see life is like as if you were playing a video game. Like, you're the main character, right? And then all the rest of them are just there to facilitate you and your story, right? Your little, you know, game that you're going through, right? Like that's a video game, but like that's how humans see it. You only exist to the extent like you're in their story, right? Their life is, you know, they're the hero in this, and you see these humans they just grasp fucking desperately for, you know, some way to say they're the good guy and you're super evil, and it's always the opposite. It's just, you know, a lot of it becomes obvious, just, you know, how motherfuckers talk, how they act. But, you know, these humans can spend the rest of eternity pretending, you know, anytime there's some, you know, moral entity, they're always going to say some bullshit like that. You know, they'll all sit around, oh, fuck, why'd they do it? Gee, it was, and, you know, I noticed they never come up with the answer being they fucked up somewhere. I noticed they never determine that it was them that did something wrong. It's never them, right? Isn't that awful convenient? Now, of course, the most demonic psychopaths on the planet, you know, whatever they did to you is also your fault. Like that, it's just, I love how humans do this responsibility avoidance shit. And what that means is they know they're guilty. But no, the reality is all the bullshit that humans want to pretend is actually the bad stuff is a result of you and your actions. And until society admits that shit is their fault and they gotta fucking do something different, shit'll never end. You humans, you never stop to think about what somebody's going through. And there's always going to be that motherfucker who they just get the most disproportionate amount of the inflictions of you humans. And they're going to get sick of it eventually. All right, the most, you know, mild motherfucker on earth has a limit. All right. But you humans expect to just push and push and push and push and never getting pushed back. Like the humans, they cry the most when, you know, their victim dares to even stand up for themselves. I've experienced that my whole life. I've been through so much in life, and you know, a lot of it I don't even want to talk about. I don't even like to fucking think about it. It actually gets in the way of me venting, because a lot of the shit I need to vent about I don't even want to think about. And so it just, you know, like I said, always got to be trapped like that with no fucking real move to make, because every answer is going to be wrong. But it also doesn't matter, because no matter how obvious it were that you're the victim, motherfuckers just don't like you, so they're going to make excuses, and like it has to be you that fucked up somewhere. Like I said, they always play that bullshit. And then, of course, if they liked you, it wouldn't matter how obvious you were the fucking bad guy. If you were, they're going to fucking make excuses for, you know, in that case, why you're actually fucking good. So, like, humans aren't concerned with reality. They're not concerned with right and wrong. They're not concerned with morality, right? Because that shit doesn't get them what they want. So they have to pretend the shit doesn't matter, or this or that. And I don't even know. But for whatever reason, I've been thinking about Elliot Rodger a lot more lately. And I don't know. Like I said, I've mentioned him in the past, you know, in a, you know, social context that I should have never bothered with. Like I said, now I never would. There's no group of humans worth talking to. But mentioning some things on the topic, but there's other things that I never really got into. But something I'll start with something else, sort of a segue into my main point. Um, there's something I've mentioned before on the topic of suicide, and I say it's not suicide really, it's pseudocide. And what I mean is that it's not you if you do that, like voluntarily, really pulling the trigger or whatever. Um, the trigger pull, so to speak, is being done by the accumulation of the actions of these evil ass humans against you. It's like if you had some amazing life, you would why would you want to? You know what I mean? Like, why would you? Oh man, my life's awesome. Guess I'm going to kill myself now. It's like nobody does that. I mean, maybe a histrionic human does that, but I'm referring to actual people. So, like, Baraka wouldn't have did what he did if motherfuckers just, gave a fuck about him. But in the context of Elliot Rodger, it's like the only reason he's not still around right now is because he had to remove himself from existence to escape persecution for acting morally. Yeah, you imagine that. You go through all that in life, and then you have the double jeopardy of you do the right thing in response, and then you're just going to get further persecution on top of it. So then that would mean that he didn't really kill himself, per se. So pseudocide. It's sort of like scanners, right? Or the one I really reach for usually is like Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. Because in Shadow of Chernobyl, the controller enemy doesn't actually have a melee attack. He does in the later games, but in the first game, he just has a psychic attack, and then there's just this general sort of like aura when you're near him that will sort of drain you as well. But that and the just kind of like mental attack or whatever you want to call it, they deplete something called mental strength. And in Shadow of Chernobyl, there's nothing, you can't restore it other than getting away from whatever is draining it or depleting it and just waiting. No amount of armor or health kits or whatever. You could have full health, full armor, and the controller could still take your mental strength to 0, and you literally just drop dead. That's what life is like with humans. And my point being is that the way humans do it, well, first of all, let me back up a sec. So there's a mod for Shadow of Chernobyl, I think it's called Gamma, where they do this, where it's like added in there. It's probably a mod of its own, and I don't know, maybe Gamma's a mod pack that just has it in there. I'm not sure, but usually Stalker mods go like that. But either way, at least in Gamma, I think it is. If nothing else, that would have been the one that popularized that. In Shadow and Gamma for Shadow of Chernobyl, whenever you get near a controller and your mental strength is depleting, you'll start to see the gun you're holding start to go to your head, right? Like the pistol, start to put it to the side, or like the rifle or shotgun or whatever, start to put it under his chin, right? And it's slowly going that way, and then the way it's animated, it's very clear. It's like you're trying to fight against it, and it's it's not you doing it, and you're trying to fight it, but you can't, right? And then, of course, if the mental strength goes straight to 0, then he pulls the trigger, and then you die, right? So it's like a mod they added in, and that's what it is in these supposed suicides, where it's not, you didn't want to do that, but the human psychosis overwhelmed you with its persecution, right? And so it's not even, it's worse than scanners or the Stalker or whatever, because it's not some magical shit or anything else. No, it's just the accumulation of their actions towards you. That's how they do their mind control without having fanciful comic book shit like telepathy or whatever. But I mean, the results of what they're doing, they may as well be, fucking Michael Ironside and fucking Scanners or whatever. And that was the point that I would make with Elliot Rodger. As I said, he wasn't going to do that if he felt like he wasn't going to just experience further persecution or even murder for doing nothing wrong, right? So that's not a real suicide if he killed himself. Now, I always talked about it as, the topic of Elliot Rodger in that context, just assuming it true that he killed himself. But taking it for granted just for the sake of me just making my point on the topic, that leads into kind of what I started with, or was going to start with, or what I was just mostly what I was thinking about. If you look at the pictures of him, when he's dead, which I fucking hate looking at, the narrative that he crashed and then killed himself or whatever, or shot himself in the head and then it crashed or something, I'm not buying that. That can't be what happened. Because if you look at the pictures, where they got, of course they got to handcuff the corpse, in case it's a zombie, because, cops are in so much danger of I guess a zombie, whatever, right? But the wounds and the blood patterns, the blood pools, right? They don't coincide with that claim. They just don't. And then another thing is, if you look at the car, if you see the picture of the front of it, right? Yeah, that big hole in the center of the windshield, that is not somebody crashed their car damage. That is a bunch of cops mag dumping through the fucking windshield. That's what that looks like. I mean, you can go watch videos of them doing it, and that's what that looks like. And then if you pay attention to one of the pictures that actually shows his face and all that, laying there on the fucking ground, there's multiple things I noticed with that. All right, it's first of all, why does he have a chest wound? You can see gauze or fucking whatever laid over top of it, and you can see the blood coming down. And then the biggest thing for me, so you can tell from pictures that he clearly was using hollow points, but that doesn't explain the head damage or facial damage, because the largest wound is on his jaw area, and then there's the way that the wound looks would imply that he shot himself left-handed in the left temple, but facing downward and to the side in such a way, and then it comes out the lower right side of his jaw. Nobody's shooting themselves like that, dude. Especially somebody who's right-handed. They're not doing that. Even if they were left-handed, they're not going to do that. And then you'll notice that there's actually two blood pools. There's one, depending on the picture, so it's usually on the left, and then there's the one right there. And then an even worse tell for me is that you see blood coming out of his nose and all that. All right, well, here's the problem with all this. All of that, if you know what you're looking at, would indicate that what actually happened was that you got a bunch of cops mag dump through his windshield, pull him out of it face down, right, with already a wound, a chest wound, like shot in the heart or whatever the case is. Handcuff him, flip him over, and then shoot him in the head, and it goes in his left temple and comes out the right side of his jaw. Because the angle of that wound, you just sit there and look at it and trace the line with your mind, right? Just sort of imagine, visually, just imagine it. That wound is exactly what I would expect to see of a cop standing over somebody and shooting him in the fucking head from that fucking angle. That's what that. So what they did was, my point is, it's like, it's not even that fortunate of a fucking ending for L.A. Roger. He just straight up got firing squatted by a bunch of child fucking police, as if he were the criminal of the situation. And then they pull him out still alive, face down first, handcuff him, flip him over. That's why you see, why is that blood pool to his left? That's closer to the door. Yeah, that's pull it out, face down, handcuff, flip over, and then shoot him in the head. So what they did was they executed him. And also what that would mean is, oh no, he didn't just shoot himself in the head and just die instantly. No, that means he suffered even more going through all that as well. And I sit there and I can only imagine what was going through his mind when all this was transpiring. And it really just it fills me with so much fucking rage to know that this could be the result of somebody who truly did nothing wrong. Sorry if you don't like hearing that. But, I mean, if you want to claim otherwise, you better have some strong motherfucking evidence. Because, I mean, I've looked at, almost literally all of it. Maybe there's something out there I haven't seen. But, these motherfuckers that want to talk shit about him didn't even read his fucking memoir. And I'm not going to use the word they want me to use because that's fucking propaganda. But if you spend enough time reading about terminal ballistics or forensics and seen enough internet videos of this shit happening, and you're smart enough to fucking interpret all that and fucking collate that, then you would understand that what those pictures depict is a fucking execution and not a suicide. That can't nobody, because because you might be compelled to say, oh well, under the chin, but that's not the case. It's off to the side. But then of course, here's another issue with it, is it's all packed with gauze, right? Well, why the fuck are medics going to show up and try to stop a corpse from dying? Right? Why has he got bandages on a very clear chest wound? I guess he shot himself in the heart. It just makes me think of all the memes of, oh man, that criminal was so evil that he shot himself in the back of the head 3 fucking times, right? With 2 different calibers, and it's it's man, they were so evil that they just, whatever this bullshit narrative is going to fucking be, when you get suicided by the state. And it's where the fuck are all these cops when the innocent are having their lives fucking destroyed by all these actual criminals? Because I notice, they're never around for that. You know what I mean? Dude, I've had so many crimes committed against me, and cops don't give a fuck. All right? I mean, I've had a motherfucker pull a gun on me and start following me, in traffic, and go to the, drive to the police station on the phone with the cops with this dude behind me. I show up and I'm like, look, there he goes right there. Nothing. This dude, what you think, bro? If I had done something like that, I'd be dead. This dude just tried to kill me, and cops don't give a fuck, right? I mean, shit, they'll try to help fucking murder you, right? But it's all this, these psychopathy cameras, and now they got microphones everywhere, and these militarized child molesting police all over the place, and yet they don't ever seem to do anything about the stuff inflicted on the innocent that totally justifies what they did, right? They just, nobody was ever around for all the misery being inflicted on them. But the moment this innocent victim does something about it, man, them cops show up fucking instantly, don't they? But I notice they don't ever show up to help out. No, they only, oh fuck, here's our opportunity to do another murder. I notice they don't show up wanting to hear the whole fucking story first. And then have a soul and hear that and be, oh, they did that to you. And then, now they're, at very least going and fucking arresting them or whatever. These humans are so fucking debauched. And it really makes me fucking sick. And, yeah, like I said, the narrative is, oh, suicide by gunshot. No, that wasn't a suicide. That's not how entrance and exit wounds work. That guy I mentioned in the other video where he's like crawling on the ground begging for his life and fucking whatever while they're, just fucking with him till he, screws up the instructions, and then that's their excuse to murder him, right? Go look at the pictures of that. What do you see? Due to an AR-15 like what that particular cop used, the entrance wound will be like you almost couldn't even see it, but then you see the exit when it's all blown out, right? Okay, well, hollow points are even worse about that, and cops use hollow points because, oh hey, the banning of expanding ammunition, that only applies to warfare, and so what their way around it is just to not officially declare war on you, and then it's fine, right? That's how the the military, or the ones not on American soil calling themselves police get away with using cluster bombs and shit. Well, we didn't officially declare war, and like that just makes it fine, right? But these cops are all about using fucking hollow points because it more effectively mutilates the innocent. That's all these child fucking criminals are worried about. It's like that one picture of a black dude I saw that, as usual, if you shot somebody running away from you, you'd be an evil criminal. But these cops will shoot everybody running away from them, right? So typical black dude running away, whether he was armed or not, actually doesn't matter. And, that's something I always wondered, like, these shock sites where you can never find a single page, like I said, that doesn't have at least one video of cops murdering the innocent. They even title the videos in such an obvious, like, cop apologist manner. And then on top of that, they always love to put the circle around the suspect's gun, right? It's like, why don't they, I don't ever see them put circles around the cops' guns, right? Like, okay, they got shit, what does it matter, right? I don't even care about that, but that's something I mentioned in the other video, where you'll have talking points on either side of a fictional dichotomy, and really they're on the same side, and the pseudo facets are really there to just distract you, right? So in American politics, the liberal distraction would be whether they were, it was unarmed black man, and then on the conservative side it would be armed criminal, right, or whatever. Doesn't matter. You have every right to be armed. So, they're armed. So what does it have to do with anything? And so, but these shock sites, they fucking make excuses for it. They run the same narrative as society as a whole. And it's like, dude, the video is already bad enough. I don't need to see your fucking rhetoric on top of it. And it's one of those things. It's like, there's no way I'm like the only one that really understands what's going on here, or is it like, am I? I don't want to think that, but I made it a comment on one of the other videos. But something I had mentioned, was how I vacillate on that. It's like, dude, are motherfuckers really that stupid? Because I just, it's probably a bit of both, but more towards the side of motherfuckers just playing pretend because, cops existing benefits them, right? But the reason I can't say for sure is because I remember when I was 11 years old, I wrote a paper in school. I wrote a report about how Kevlar works and how they could, like, my 11-year-old interpretation of how they could improve bulletproof vests to help better protect police, right? I didn't just like grow up constantly hearing that like police are like suck or whatever, right? I had to figure that out over time, mostly through observations, but also through experiences. But that I mean, unless you're a demonic child fucking human, you're only going to see so many thousands of videos of cops doing what they do before it finally clicks, right? 20 years of that is more than enough. And so it's like the hollow point entry and exit is even worse, all right, if it exits. And that I just always think of that one picture of that black dude running away. And, it doesn't matter if they were armed or not, but probably weren't. But, of course, like I say, humans love to take the most pettiest shit and elevate it to murder or attempted murder. Or just, just one of these, fucking mentally ill criminal police just looking for a reason to mutilate somebody, right? That's when they're not beating motherfuckers till they're paralyzed or raping or fucking whatever, right? Because they're such the good guys. But I when I think of those pictures of Elliot or look at him or whatever, it reminds me of that picture, where some cop shooting at him and it like shoots through his face, but in such a way that like comes through the back and comes out and just basically just blows his whole fucking jaw apart. It just like that fucking, if you've seen like failed shotgun suicide pictures, it looked some like that, but like somehow worse, right? Because at least on the other ones, they were, so to speak, self-inflicted. But in this case, it's, like, hey, here's your state terrorism. I noticed they never want to blur that or put a, their thing at the beginning about, oh, this may be, graphic images. This may be sensitive to some viewers. They never put that shit on that one, right? When it's cops doing some evil shit, they never want to put that. It's just all a bunch of narratives, And, I've mentioned it more lately. I don't usually talk a whole lot about, I talk all the fucking time about the statism shit and all that, but I don't usually go on a whole lot about agencies, right? But, do you think about it long enough? Yeah, obviously you're going to think about that. Because, that is what it is. It's just a bunch of, alphabet terrorists, of just a slightly different kind. Just doing a bunch of murderous shit and fucking getting away with it. But, as a result of that, a lot of times I'll also just, anytime I'm thinking about injustice, I'll start thinking about, Terry Davis. Terry Davis was, I never actually talked to him directly. I was aware of him, and then, the 2015-ish time frame where he started to become a meme, obviously I'd heard about him a bit more. I never watched any of his live streams. I don't know, there's a lot of situations like, I don't know, like I first heard about him on 4chan because it was like 2007. It was like Loose Thos. That's what he named his operating system at the time. That's what I always remember it as, is Loose Thos. Now it's, the last version of it before he died is called Temple OS, so that's usually what people call it. But he changed the name all the time. But, you talk about just the needless suffering inflicted on the innocent by these humans. He's one that, as I said, he was, he had he'd been homeless and different shit like that. And sometimes I think about that or watch his old videos, or sometimes I've, at points in the past, I've even put on YouTube comments of like his videos about like I'd been homeless in like the same places he had been homeless in. It just was never at the same time, right? Because that dude was like just ridiculously intelligent. I mean, he made his own fucking operating system. You know what I mean? Like if you know enough about computers, you would understand how kind of just crazy that is. That one individual in any length of time made a fully featured like whole operating system. And I've seen like videos of him talking about stuff. But motherfuckers just want to like try to make him a lol cow, just because you keep talking about the CIA or the NSA and this and that. But the thing is like, I mean, it's true, right? I mean, that's whole like the Patriot Act shit and all that just flat out says that pretty much. Right? Maybe not literal. Oh, hey, we're just all gonna fucking oppress you. It doesn't say it like that, obviously. But I mean, if you know how to read, then you've already been told that if you read it. So yeah, the CIA and the NSA and fucking the rest of them are out there to fucking oppress and terrorize as much as possible, and it's all about facilitating the goals of some faceless fucking state terrorist organization. In this specific case, the fucking United States, right? That's just like I said, the cops are just their death squads, right? And it's all, like I said, it's basically literally just a fucking just military occupation, right? It's no different. Like, you may as well be in fucking some Warsaw ghetto in the fucking 30s for all it matters. I mean, that's what they see you as, right? You're just something to humans just need to feel powerful, but they know that they're not, so they need everything to be one-sided, right? Because I'm sitting here thinking about how that would have went down if cops didn't exist. Elliot Rodger would have been more successful. It's like but of course people will make fun of even that, right? But it's like, I mean, well, unfortunately Elliot Rodger doesn't have a million cops helping him get his way, right? These cops all just got 350 million demonic entities in one patch of dirt. That's all just decide they're allowed to do whatever the fuck they want. It's like, gee, I wonder who's going to fucking, like I said, humans never win, they only usurp victory. They just have to inflict a pseudo loss on you because they want you to be all on your own, but have everyone on their side. Plus, humans love the idea that if they fuck with you and you try to do something about it, they're just going to run to their little child molesters. And, so it's just like I said, it's just an ape, right? Just a bipedal monkey flinging shit from a safe distance, whatever that distance takes the form of it. That's all humans do. They just want to hide behind something else, and I don't know. But yeah, they absolutely did that shit with Terry Davis too. That was like they were like looking for him, and like you can see the picture, and it's like, oh, do not approach the suspect, and like this dude is he's just like, he made like an operating system. He's just like homeless or whatever. That's it. That's all the guy ever did, right? But this is the super dangerous evil criminal. I never one time seen Terry Davis do anything a cop does on the orders of thousands of times every fucking day in this world. And but he's the super dangerous one. It's like it's such a farce. But then, like I said, it's all a psyop. Yeah. Do I believe that Terry Davis got hit by a train? No. Maybe he did. Okay, well, even if that were the case, the state terrorism paradigm inflicted those circumstances on him to get hit by a train in the first fucking place. So they're still to blame. You know, or like Elliot Rodger, you know, society wants to get mad about something like that, but it's like you gave them the experiences to make them who they are. How are you going to make something exactly how you wanted it and then get mad about it, right? Like, that's how I know that God is just a man-made invention, you know, a human-made invention, I say, because there's no men amongst humans. But, you know, God had to be created by humans because that's how humans act. Oh, you're created exactly how you were supposed to be created, but there's something wrong with you, and you're the one that needs to beg for forgiveness. Well, that's just how humans act. All right, these cops want you literally on the ground begging for your life and then still murder you anyway. Nobody has a problem with that. How the fuck, like in one single country, this piece of shit country, they're like 350 million plus motherfuckers, nobody will express a problem with that except fucking me, basically. I don't ever see anybody just even point out that it's happening for valid reasons. Motherfuckers, like, the, you know, motherfuckers might be mad about it, but it really, what it is like they just want to be the status. You know, like humans are all, they're just cult members. As I said, they don't ever want freedom. What they want is to be the oppressor. So when I start hearing groups, you know, it's like, you know, if they talk about equality, what they really mean is they want to get to the level someone else is at so that they can go past them. So when I hear humans start to talk about equality or freedom and shit like that, that's when I start to fucking get worried. And, you know, it's one of those things that, like, there's so much to it that I don't even really know where to start. But, you know, it's convoluted on purpose, and then that's also to try to funnel you into being that guy of, you know, you're connecting the fucking thumbtacks with string or whatever on the fucking cork board, right? But when their whole express purpose is be chaotic, you know, and you know, they just never know what the fuck is going on, because that's what just humans are about, chaos in the first place, right? But every single thing is intentional. Whether the results of it were intentional doesn't matter, because you could talk about it and nobody give a fuck. Okay, well, now they're doing it on purpose, and well, then it is intentional. And it's just it's too convenient that life always goes against moral entities. You know, it's like there's this quote that I read. What was it? It was about the. I think it was specifically about the Holodomor, which is, you know, the Ukrainian specific part of like the, you know, Soviet mass starvation. But whatever the exact context, the quote, they pointed that out. You know, with the mass starvation shit, they said the ones that died weren't the bad ones, right? The ones that died first were the good, the good people, who wouldn't, you know, kill and eat their neighbor. You know, the ones that went first were the ones who wouldn't kill and eat their own kids, right, etc. And it's like, yeah, humans have spent 250,000 years purposefully selecting out for psychopathy, right? You get labeled a felon and then they put you in a cage and castrate you, but they get to reproduce, right? And so, yeah, they're literally making it. I mean, they've been doing that forever. It's like Romans had eunuchs, right? They literally just, want to mutilate you and make you into a slave, and then, you have no, the the supposedly weak ones are the ones who should be propagating, because they're the ones not fucking with people. But instead, what propagates is pure sickening evil, and you apply that for 250,000 years, and then you're fucked. That's why you'll very rarely see, you might see one decent, you might see one like decent individual occasionally, and even more rarely see an actual person. Like, you'll almost never see a person. But it's just, I think it's awful interesting when you take that part and put it together with how, that one good person shows up and everyone says they're the evil one. But then you look at how just fucking ruthlessly malicious humans are. And, like, they truly don't give a fuck what happens to you. Humans only, humans don't care about right and wrong. They only care about getting their way and avoiding responsibility. That's it. And humans don't form social relationships off the basis of merit. Because if they did, then they'd all be on their fucking own. They'd be the one rotting in a fucking gutter. But instead, humans, form alliances on the basis of favoritism. And, like, they don't even give a fuck about each other, but they just all sort of unanimously decided that in that specific context, if you're on my side with this, then I won't rip your throat out specifically, right? So it's more of like a fucking, kind of, gentleman's agreement, or it's like, all right, well, you're making shit easier for me, so I won't, torture you or whatever, right? And like I said, when you look at how chimpanzees act, and then you just compare that with human behavior, it's the exact same. It's the exact fucking same. These humans are no different than any other primate, monkey or ape. It's all the same shit. It's all a bunch of demonic fucking primates running around. And it's just, humans have just been the ones so far to, really concentrate the brutality and the cruelty to where the things that they say and do to you, and it's like you didn't even do anything to them, but they're fucking with you for no reason, right? Whether it's been in romantic relationships that I've experienced, these supposed platonic, right, friendships or acquaintances, motherfuckers will just, like, offhand just say just fucking evil shit to you, and maybe they're not aware of how it's evil. Okay, well, so who gives a fuck? I thought, it's like, because in any other context it wouldn't be an excuse, right? You'll get told ignorance of the law is not an excuse to break it. How the fuck can I avoid breaking a rule I don't even know about? Motherfuckers know that that's bullshit, alright? It's just an excuse. But it just, it just this world, like, I'm not interested in motherfucking horror movies or shit like that anymore, because like nothing ever comes close to just existing on this fucking planet, right? Like life on this planet is body horror and just pure, just sickness. I don't understand how a world could be as evil as this is, and just how just whatever I can't even think of the word, that motherfuckers will react to you if you even just say something about it. You just point out, there's something wrong with this, isn't it? And like now they're, you're officially a fucking pariah. And it's like you literally just pointed out motherfuckers doing evil shit, and they're mad at you, and they like actually want to murder you. It doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. All the fucking, just heinous villainy in this world, but you dare to even have a problem with it. It's just interesting that, I just thought it was kind of, a coincidence that, not liking immorality is somehow making you a piece of shit. It's like, why would humans have a problem with you having a problem with evil shit? You know? Well, it's because they're evil. So, duh, right? It's like just all the social narratives. And, you know, like why would the state say that you doing this or that makes you a criminal, but then they want their cops doing it, right? And it's like, if you had done it, if you're a moral entity, if you had done it, you would have actually had a valid moral justification. But they're showing up to do it on an actual criminal basis, and like, that like actual criminality, which is doing things that don't have a moral justification, right? So they're showing up being actual criminals, but then they get a pass for shit that they said that you would be a criminal for if you did it on a valid moral basis. Okay, well, what they're really saying is they're a bunch of criminals. If somebody tells you that you'd be a criminal if you had this or that or did this or that, but then they want to have that shit or do that shit, that's their way of telling you that they're a criminal, right? So, man, if switches are so evil, got to take the machine guns away. Can't be having that. Well, then why all these cops got them? I thought only super mean evil criminal had criminals had machine guns. So why you have them? That's their way of telling you that they're a criminal, but without saying it. It's just all this shit. It's just in your face, and motherfuckers are acting like it isn't there. But trying to connect the dots and to like really explain what's going on, it would really be almost impossible. I like shit like that. Is like, I've never really made a video that maybe I would want to make, because there's a lot of shit that, like, trying to explain what's going on, like, I really would have to sit there for a long time and like literally like fucking draw flow charts and shit or whatever, just to try to even sort of coalesce just all the sides of that, to really even try to figure out how the fuck to explain it. Like, it's there, you can't articulate it, but you know what's going on. You've done the research and this and that, but it's like, how do you even really put that into a single contiguous sort of thought fragment like that? Because that's the problem, right? Language is linear, but thoughts aren't. And then the shit that happens and that you experience isn't linear either. So language automatically gimps you, and so that's just an even worse problem. And that's also part of the biological terrorism. I mean, if you can't communicate, well, then what the fuck, right? Like, even if you're smart, but everything is designed to be chaotic on purpose, you might not figure shit out. Generally, you're not, no matter what, you're not going to figure it out till it's too late. So it doesn't matter. But, even if you're intelligent, Well, that just makes you better at figuring out what's going on. But like I said, the shit's all over the place by design. Yeah, we'll go ahead and cover that now. Like, let me try to give an example of this that's immediately salient, right? That motherfucking squeaking noise that's coming from. I think it's the fan on the air conditioner, like inside there. I don't know if it's going out or got something stuck on it. It just keeps making this squealing noise, and I mean, I guess that's what it is. You know, it's been making this, in the last video I mentioned, that this low level noise, and that was like tolerable, and it was doing that for a while till, you know, maybe 10 or so minutes ago, and it started doing this just intermittent, just loud squeaking noise. Like, I don't know if it'll show up on the audio, because that's the thing, audio processing in the micro, like just electronically in the microphone and then in the software, who knows exactly what it's going to do. Because like the first time it ever happened, I didn't even hear it in the audio afterwards, but then the last one I did hear it, so it might not even show up on this one, I don't know. But you know, you've got, and that whole thing, if I remember to, I'll you know, come back to that in a sec. Okay, well, I get force fucked into existence. I get experiences inflicted on me that already preoccupy my thoughts, and it instantly put a constant penalty on my cognitive functioning. And then on top of that, because of the persecution I experienced, I'm constantly paying attention to everything. I'm essentially constantly vigilant. So I get easily distracted, so to speak, right? Even that intermittent sound that it started fucking making again on this video, maybe it wouldn't have distracted you. Okay, well, you didn't go through what I went through, right? But you're having these experiences from day one, which literally changed the shape of your fucking brain. I don't mean like, you know, like the fucking neuronal connections and fucking everything. It's actual physical changes to your brain are taking place. And so that culminates in me having supposedly ADHD. Really what it is you're paying attention to everything. Okay. And then on top of that, pharmaceutical torture I experienced ruined my short-term memory. And then on top of that, they design cars for the parts to fail just to fuck you out of money, right? And then everything I go through automatically puts additional strain on my vehicle. So that all comes together with, you know, the rest of my life experiences even put me sitting here right now doing this, right? Just to put me in the circumstances, in the exact right biological configuration for that stupid motherfucking squeaking noise to be there, just to fucking distract me, just to try to make me look like whatever appeals to the social fiction, that, oh, here's the next character attack while he's distracted, going on for 10 minutes about a squeaking noise or whatever, just to try to make, again, because humans don't have anything. Okay, well, it doesn't fucking matter if the car company or whoever else sat there and, man, okay, so here's what we're going to do, this, and that, and then that's going to make Natty Fatty mad when he's sitting there making the video. It doesn't have to be that. Now, humans will pretend it's that. They'll love to become all fucking, you know, deconstructivists and try to boil down your whole fucking life to one unitary experience or trait or whatever. Just, again, it has to be about narratives. Me bringing it up, and it wouldn't be a big deal to you. Okay, well, congratulations, your life is fucking easy. No shit, it's no big deal to you. Because remember, again, that's on top of a life of constant invalidation, motherfuckers acting like I don't exist, ignoring me, abandoning me, etc. So if nothing else, it's just yet another thing in my fucking way. Right? Now that's about as close as I could get to trying to wrap all that up. and, you know, tie that all together or whatever. But like I said, car company had to design this thing intentionally the way that it is, right? Just everything had to go the way that it did individually, and that all fucking compounds to create this exact experience right here. All right, now maybe it wasn't made expressly to do that specific thing. Okay, well, it doesn't have to, and more importantly, nobody gives a fuck. Okay, well, then now it's intentional. I don't know. I think of there's that one Holocaust or not well, I guess Holocaust denier guy or whatever. It was like he was like sucking Nazi dick or whatever. But in one of his videos, he like you like hear a helicopter or whatever go overhead, or I think it was just an airplane. It's like, oh look, now they're sending airplanes over again. It's like that's not really valid. All right, now that part is just stupid. Right, I'm not saying he's stupid. I'm just saying that, you know, the concept is stupid. Yeah, they totally just, oh fuck, he's making the video and just starts sending planes overhead. No, but they did create a paradigm to put a fucking airport near you and send planes overhead at that particular moment. If you wouldn't say anything to you know, to them about it, they wouldn't give a fuck. Okay, well, that's the part that's against you. And at the end of the day, it's still human terrorism. Because remember, they also gave you the life to put you to that point anyway. But so something that, you know, this is not that complex of a situation, and yet, like, you have to kind of think about even that, how to, like I said, it's all non-linear. You know, all these things are all, and you have to put them together. Well, how are you going to articulate that? Okay, now imagine it's the fucking, you know, complex tapestry of psychotic evil that these humans have woven. How the fuck are you really going to? So that's the thing. Even when I made videos that motherfuckers liked hearing, you know, they liked me because I said shit that, you know, they liked the sound of or whatever. I never really explained a whole lot on the topics. Not that in depth, but the difference is you don't have to. I mean, that's a part of the problem, is that you'll just mention like sort of like cliff notes of it, right? Like what I just did. Well, a motherfucker that was already on your side doesn't need to hear anything else. But then somebody who was against you, that's not going to be good enough, right? And I mean, nothing would be good enough. So like, it's pointless to all degrees to even waste your fucking time. But it's one of those things, like, even if you're smart, it would already put a you know, and it yet another additional cognitive load on you. And, you know, yeah, that's part of it is, you know, put more stress on you, more cognitive load, so that it's harder for you to think, so that you're less likely to make the right decision. So and well, that just means these humans are more likely to get their way, right? It's just a different form of the type of shit where, you know, a cunt would just try to piss you off just to get you to hit her or whatever, you know, because self-control is not infinite. They'll pretend it is, but they know it's not. And like I said, in that content, they'll just fuck with you because they know it'll work eventually. All right, humans want to funnel you into a certain experience. Well, if they deprive you of information, make your life nothing but stress and distractions and lack of sleep and all this and that, well, then you're less likely to, you know, do something that, like, doesn't gel with what they want your experience to be. Now, of course, at the end of the day, if that still doesn't work, well, then they'll just send a death squad after you to, you know, either just murder you or kidnap you, or murder you if they don't let you kidnap. If you don't let them kidnap you. So it really doesn't matter. The state is always their fallback point. But all the different ways, every single experience, it just, itself, a culmination of all these separate events and just things and all that. It's like good luck. And especially good luck when the bullshit's fucking with you. Or like as far as the fictional state promulgations, that's what the one guy I used to watch that I'm thinking of saying that. He said that it's like even if you're reasonably intelligent, you're pretty good at reading, but the way that they use the words is different than we use them. So even if you can read the words just fine, oh shucks, there's that fucking, it's basically like a slang, right? It's like they're saying the words, but it's not really what they're saying. They might as well be those two black dudes on that movie Airplane or whatever, or like that scene in Casino where they're on the phone talking about their plan, but it's like they subtitle it so you know what they said really means, right? Well, that's all, legalese or whatever the fuck you want to call it is. And then on top of that, they're going to say, oh, well, the spirit of the law is, that's the word of the law, but that's not the spirit of the law. And it's like, so even if you had deciphered everything else, you'd still be wrong, right? But, the only thing that really works is just intuition. Yeah, I mean, you can see it happening. All right, it's not whether or not motherfuckers know it's there; it's how they react to it. And clearly these humans don't have a problem with it, or it wouldn't be there. I mean, fuck, they got a problem with innocent victims, and they'll murder them, fucking the moment they show up. They got a problem with Elliot Rodger being short or like whatever, and they're just going to show up just to be a group of chimpanzees and just But morality is easy, and these humans know what morality is. They just choose to go against it. And so, like, they don't have an excuse. So when you see the atrocities, you know that they're atrocities. You might say something else because you're evil and you just wanted to, oh, this is my narrative. Cops murdering the innocent. Well, but I like cops, so they're innocent, right? They're the innocent ones, but it's actually the innocent who were guilty. Otherwise, they wouldn't have got murdered. I mean, killed, right? It's like, but so like the only upside to it is like, all right, maybe if I couldn't really, like, I basically can never say what I want to say in a video. Like, who gives a fuck how many stupid fucking big words I know? I just, like, nothing could even define it anyway. And the shit is so clusterfucked that it wouldn't matter like what words you pick. You're not going to be able to really, like, you can just see it and intuitively understand it's there. You're never going to be able to fucking articulate that. Like, sort of like I say a lot, like there's no words for just like the evil that humans are. Like, evil, that's not good enough of a word. Like, there's just not a word. There's not a phrase. There's not you could, like I said, it's just barbarity that's as incalculable as it is inarticulable. But every part of it is a fucking psyop. And I mean, that's just the shit is real simple. It's just manipulation. It's just these humans doing their fucking mind games and their fucking narratives, their propaganda. It's just like Like the black pill shit's a feminist psyop. I mean, really, the human species is just a feminist psyop. Like psyop, that's another word. You pick a word that's technically correct, but oh, you said the wrong word, and now you're the piece of shit, right? Oh my God, he said psyop. But it's like it's sort of just manipulation, right? Any motherfucker lying to you about shit, that's just what it is, right? But I'm not allowed to say the wrong words, even if they meant the same thing. But I don't know. I've been on that a lot lately. It's like when I have the thoughts, they seem pretty coherent, but then I try to make the video and it's just not working. And I don't understand what exactly causes that. Because sometimes I make a video and it's just like, it just works, right? And I'm not really sure what exact configuration is creating that. But I don't know. I mean, only, I came out to do a few things, I actually did a few things this time. And, so I wanted to sit here and kind of just say what I was thinking, or, no matter if I can't fucking, it's just whatever. It's just stupid. Music is a better form of communication, but I don't have my guitar and shit together, and I don't know. I'm not in the position right now to make music, and I also just don't feel like it. So that I always felt that was better than language, as far as communicating ideas. But whatever. Man, that chirping, squeaking noise, that has to show up in the motherfucking audio. That's another. Like I said, just keep throwing that shit in there. Hey, if I wasn't being distracted constantly, maybe the video would be better, right? I mean, I only make these for myself. It's just stupid that, it's like, dude, I don't even have an audience. I mean, maybe there's one, but I don't give a fuck if they're there or not. Like, I do these truly for me, and like even then, it wants to stop me. It's like, it makes me kind of just not want to bother, because like I could have just been sitting in front of my computer playing a video game and just having the same thoughts right now, just not saying them, But like when I just want to just vocalize things and just vent about it, like it even wants to try to just fucking, just fuck with me on that. And then I say that and the fucking sound gets louder. That's a great coincidence right there. What's next? The fan in there is gonna fucking go out, and then even if the AC is working, it's not gonna really blow out correctly. When it's the hottest, dude, it's like 80 degrees right now. It's like it's in the middle of the night. It's like, I don't actually know what time it is. I haven't looked at the phone, but I think it's probably like fucking 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning right now. It's like 80 fucking degrees outside. And like that'll be when some bullshit like that happens. So this is the thing, dude, this thing has never made that sound the whole time I've had this thing. But the moment I'm starting to make videos that are kind of like things that I really want to talk about, all of a sudden that starts. It's just bullshit. It's always, it's that even if it's just random shit. Well, why isn't it? Why is bullshit never getting away any of these criminals, right? I just always thought that was pretty interesting to observe. But it's everything's always different when it's me. Everything's always just there to fuck me over. And I don't know. Humans just are gonna have whatever fucking position they're going to have. It wouldn't really matter what I say. But just the fact that these humans will go out of their way to defend such fucking vile criminality, and just the debauchery of these different fucking social groups. Like they won't ever say anything about it, or they'll even defend it. But then it's like, you could be the most moral thing to ever exist, and they'd have a fucking problem with you. You know, it just, it still really keeps bothering me, the idea that society really does think Elliot Rodger was the bad guy. You know, right? And yeah, I'm attracted to him. Yeah, I do love him. And, yeah, I feel that way about him. That doesn't influence me saying that, though. Right? Like, being attracted. Because there's plenty of attractive homosexual humans that showed me with their behavior that they're a piece of shit. And, like, now looking at them actually disgusts me. Right? Like, looking at them, like, makes my dick negative inches or whatever. Right? It's like negative boner. Because their whole existence sickens me. Because they're just such a just disgusting. They're just vile. Like I said, I don't know what else to say on that. But so this idea that, oh, you're just defending Elliot Rodger because you like want to fuck him or whatever, like, that has nothing to do with it. But that's what a human would say if they heard me, point out what actually happened with any of that, and then hear that, oh, I thought he was attractive or whatever. That's going to be, again, it always has to be, explain it away so that they can still fit their social narrative. I don't know. But yeah, so, the first car I've ever had with functioning air conditioning. So hypothetically, like the 5 years that I made videos, for one of these fictional social groups that were just shit rats like the rest, that I didn't have that, like my videos suffered for that because it's just too uncomfortable. Well, the moment I could have that, well, now I'm just have to be constantly distracted, not now by how hot it is, but instead the fucking just squeaking noise for no reason, right? No valid one. It's just, again, it's just always has to, if it wasn't one thing, it'd be another. Because motherfuckers will like talk shit about black IQ or like, like whatever, like shit like that, for example. But that Africans tend to live in places that get pretty fucking hot. And, I remember this one gay Australian comedian talking about Aboriginals. And he was in, Australian context, he's talking about that. People saying, well, how come the Aboriginals never built anything? And that's what he says, like, because it's hot as shit. And, like, he's, like, pretending to be them. He's like, hey, you want to go build something? And the other one's like, oh, fuck that. Let's go to the beach, right? And it's like, yeah, that's exactly why it is. If Africans have lower IQ or have, like, invented less stuff, it's because it's too fucking hot. That your brain is, like, the most calorific part of your body. No matter how stupid you are, your brain consumes the most calories. It produces the most energy. Your brain gets, like, literally gets hot. Like a lot of your body's effort goes into actually keeping your brain cool. All right. And if you're in a place that's already hot, your body is using a lot of energy just to dissipate heat, just to try to not burn the fuck up. Well, that's less cognitive. So you already have the cognitive load of being hot, removing resources that otherwise could have been used for intellect or whatever. So there's just like an automatic penalty on your IQ. And that's before everything else, right? So, like, that guy, he was making a joke, and intuitively he probably understood that. Maybe he didn't really mean it. Like, he didn't think, oh, maybe that's got to be a myth or something. But, like, no, that's absolutely it. Like, I mean, think about it. Like, you heat up when you move around. If it's already really fucking hot, well, one of the ways to cool down is to just stop moving. But humans will place all sorts of stereotypy on things that, like, they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. But, you know, as usual, you know, even in that context, I'll get a blacker experience than a lot of black motherfuckers acting like I don't count because I'm not black, right? You know, they're sitting there making their video in their nice, you know, air-conditioned Hellcat or whatever, right? They're the victims of life somehow. But, you know, but as I said, you know, actual black victims don't, nobody gives a shit. You know, that's their stance. And, you know, blah, blah. I've already covered that a lot. And that's it. But in, yeah, you know, in a lot of contexts, but that one specifically as well. But, you know, it's that the idiot with an easy life in the perfect environment to make the most cohesive video they can make. That's the one that's bitching about shit. But it's like, dude, if I had life like them, you never would have even heard of me. I would have never bothered making videos. I wouldn't have nothing to talk about. But yeah, and being a part of an oppressed group or multiple, that increases cognitive load and etc. So yeah. And I don't know whether this thing will ever stop that squeaking shit. My guess is that it'll stop squeaking when the fan actually stops spinning. And then the problem will be, you know, it'd be a different problem. But this video wasn't really going to be what I wanted it to be, you know, anyway. This one, no, I think it's more just, I don't know, I don't know, it's just the totality of whatever the environmental configuration is just not conducive. Maybe I'll make a video when I go to the gym tomorrow night. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, usually if I'm caffeinated, because, you know, I'll use like caffeine pills or whatever pre-workout, and especially if I've taken theanine, usually I'd say those end up being my best videos. But even that, the timing when it has to be right and everything, it's, you know, I mean, so that could not necessarily mean anything. But I don't know. I think I'm just going to cut my losses on that and just end the video right here. And just, you know, expound upon the elucidated concepts further in another video or I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I'm done with this recording.